I recently told you last week my plans for Valentine's Day, and those were to have an auxiliary input installed in my wife's car stereo. Now, this may not seem too romantic to you, the casual viewer.
No. Whenever I think of romantic things, auxiliary inputs into those things.
Yeah, very romantic.
It seems like romance is a brewing.
My wife really loves music, and she likes to listen to music in the car
From her phone.
and she wants the music that she's buying on her phone to be accessible, and she hasn't for a couple of years now, and I'm a bad husband for it. But when she went out of town, I was like, I'm gonna get this thing installed, and then I'm going to wrap the cord up, put it into the glove compartment, put a little heart on it, a little paper heart, and then on our Valentine's Day date, when she gets in the car, I'm gonna say, hey baby, open the glove compartment, which is not code for anything. It really is just to open the glove compartment. And then she's gonna open the glove compartment, she's gonna see a heart, she's gonna pull out the heart, it will be attached to a cord, music will play,
And then she's
literally
gonna rip out the cord and try to figure out why it's stuck. Break everything.
She's not a moron. So she's gonna see that it's auxiliary input, and she's gonna put it in her phone, and we're gonna play her favorite music, and we're gonna have a great Valentine's Day day. At least that was the plan. The plan was foiled by a moron, and I'm not happy about it, moron, wherever you're at.
And I didn't know about the headband thing that you mentioned at the top.
Headbanded moron.
So it wasn't me, but I was involved. I was party to the events that led to. This is very convoluted.
Okay.
But I have a part to play. My part is the hero, or at least I thought it was. So basically, I'm getting ready to leave the house one morning. I'm gonna come to your house. I'm gonna pick you up, and then we're gonna do the carpool thing like we do every morning.
Yeah, energy efficient.
But lo and behold, a minute before I leave, I get a phone call from Jessie.
My wife.
And you guys had traded phones for some reason. I don't even know. There was some technical issues. So I thought it was you calling me from
Not
her
worth
phone.
going into.
I thought it was you calling me from her phone. So I'm like, yeah. Like I'm about to walk out the door. And then I found,
wasn't happy with
it's
that.
not you, it's Jessie, and she seems distressed. She's like, I can't get in touch with Rhett. I'm at my gym. I'm actually in the parking lot. I'm having some car trouble. Had a guy who tried to help me. It didn't work out. I just can't get in touch with Rhett. I was wondering, I think it's the battery. I'm like, oh, okay.
Can you come and jump the car?
This is fine. Yeah, I can basically go by the gymnasium, and she's a basketball player. That's how she works out.
Yeah.
And I can bring the jumper cables because I'm that manly, and I can give you the jumper boost or whatever it's called. You can follow.
You're that man.
We can both go to your house. Rhett can come with me, and then you can go on with your life. And I'm the hero. Everybody's happy.
It seemed pretty simple at the time.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. Until I get in the car and show up and realize that this is a lot more complicated than I at first thought it would be. So I'm rolling up into the parking lot. I see Jessie standing in an empty space next to her Honda Pilot with the hood raised. Perfect space for me to go in, park right beside her, and hook up the cables, jump off the vehicle. Now, when I get out of the car, I can see on the ground there are jumper cables there that she had.
Ours.
And they don't look right. They have been lit on fire.
Totally melted.
All of the insulation is 100% melted off. It's just little spindly wires with this thing at the end. I mean, it looks like a fire has occurred.
And here's what had happened. Okay, so my wife is at the gym. She doesn't end up going to the gym. She gets on the phone with a girlfriend and they talk for a long time, and she keeps the heat on in the car with the engine off.
Well, she wanted to make it a workout.
This is a mistake, just if you have a car and you do this, because you're running the battery down. She runs the battery down, and then she's like, oh, I need to get somebody to jump the car off. So she approaches a man who is coming out of the gym wearing a headband, and which is apparently not a sign of intelligence. Just gonna go ahead and tell you, because the first thing this guy does when he begins to jump the car off is he puts the positive on the negative and the negative on the positive. Now, don't do this also, because it could ruin both cars. And the thing that it does is it causes sparks and fire to start and burns the whole jumper cable into the mangled mess that Link saw when he arrived.
She had to run in and get a fire extinguisher, right?
And then another guy who came out of the gym came and kicked the jumper cables off of one of the batteries to stop this devastating thing that was happening to both cars.
Like Chuck Norris.
And then when she gets back out there, Headband Man says, I'm getting out of here before I cause any more trouble. And he gets into his Mercedes and leaves. Also, if you drive a Mercedes, apparently not a sign of intelligence. There's a Headband Man who drives a Mercedes, who goes to my wife's gym, who did some damage to my vehicle.
Now,
wherever you're at.
This could have blown up the battery.
Yeah.
I mean, this could have been a lot worse than it even was. The fire was put out pretty much immediately. So I show up and I'm like, well, I hook up my cables correctly, and she tries to start it. It almost starts, but then it won't work. And then all of a sudden I realize there's smoke coming from my car.
Yeah.
And I look over there, and so I'm like, I take it off right quick, and I take off the positive and the negative and go like this, and then the positive terminal just drips away into nothing.
Yeah.
Destroys my cables.
Well, my battery
which you haven't replaced
my
yet.
battery had been compromised by what had happened with the moron. Okay, so this is what goes down. We have AAA, so we end up calling AAA. Now, the reason that I was not on the scene, just so you know, when I got called 7 times by my wife, I was in the shower cleansing myself like I normally do every morning, so that's my excuse. I don't carry my cell phone in the shower yet. Maybe I will now. But that's why Link had to respond. Link wasn't able to do anything.
You wouldn't have done anything
But it wasn't your fault. It was Moron's fault. And so this guy leaves the scene after he causes the damage. We call AAA. They give her a new battery, and then she comes home. Later that day, she says, "Oh, the stereo's not working. Now that we got a new battery, it says I got to enter a code." And this is what happens if you disconnect an anti-theft device.
That's normal.
So I had to go into and get the serial number and put in the code, and then the stereo comes back on, but I can only hear sound coming out of one of the back speakers, and it's just bass. So
that's fine.
As
long as there's a little bass.
If you're really into bass, that's okay.
Right.
But I go online and search forums, because that's what you do when this kind of thing happens. And it turns out that we'd probably blown a fuse when Moron hooked up the battery wrong. He did some damage to my car.
Yeah.
So we take it to the dealership, and that's when the guy says, your radio is ruined. Your radio is ruined. It's going to be
ruined.
$550 to get the radio replaced. Wow. And that's when my wife calls me and he says we got to get the radio replaced. And that's when I have to make the decision. And I'm going to tell her about the auxiliary input that is the best Valentine's Day gift ever.
I'm hearing the conversation like, don't tell her. Just you can get it fixed. You can get it fixed and get it. Not even you can still surprise her. And then you told her.
There was no. First of all, I'm not going to pay $550 at the dealership to get the radio replaced. I'm going to take it back to the guy who put the auxiliary input in, and I'm going to get a cheaper stereo. But in other words, the bottom line is that I didn't. In fact, it's still not fixed. There's an auxiliary input that's non-functioning that will play bass if you're into just having bass. And so I had to tell my wife this. And so on Valentine's Day, I had nothing but flowers and a card and an auxiliary input that was impotent and did not work. And you know, to even it out though, she got me a shaving kit that I really didn't enjoy, and said that I don't want it. Now, so we're working through this as a couple. Yeah, I shaved my neck, and it was too expensive, and I was like, I would feel bad using this.
I think the problem is the guy. What should we do about this guy?
I want to find this guy. Well, I got some ideas. We'll talk about that in Good Mythical more. I have some ideas of how I'm going to track down this guy and have a little conversation. Stuck in the South Pole. Let's get out of here. Having a little trouble.
Oh, I can't. It's my foot. My right foot is stuck.
What is this?
It must be.
What is your foot stuck to? My foot's stuck to the same thing. It's a little.
It's a pole.
It's a pole.
What does it say on it?
Antarctica. That's weird. Unexpected. So now we got to the sun.
And her feet are magnetic. Nice. Is it gum?
It's whatever you want it to be. It's everywhere you want to be.
I think it's like some sort of double-sided tape.
Okay, well, I guess we got to stick around. Stuck
South
at the
Pole.
South Pole,
Are you too hard on the guy? I mean, it's just, it's common knowledge to not cross the streams when hooking up a battery.
Now let me say a couple of things. Number one, I appreciate this guy's willingness to help. Okay, because and I will say in California, as is evidenced by the fact that Jesse had to call you, she asked many people.
Oh, really?
Every single person who came out of the gym. Every person who came out of the gym, she said she would begin to talk to them. More than half of them wouldn't even look her in the eye. You know, it's like a,
I've got to get back to my car because this woman may be playing a prank on me.
Really?
Oh, I'm an Angelino. I'm scared of people.
now that happened, but then there were also people who were like, I don't have jumper cables. Those people are excused. People who wouldn't look up at my wife, those people are not excused. That is inexcusable human behavior. Now, this guy...
But you should have jumper cables in your car.
You should. You know, just as a common courtesy, and for yourself and for others, you should have jumper cables in your car.
And I actually don't have a pair now because of what happened.
I'll get you back. I'll get you 2 pairs. What color you want?
One red, one black. That's
all right.
kind of how they work.
But headband guy at least was willing to help, but he made the cardinal mistake of hooking them up wrong. And this is, you could kill someone. I'm not kidding. Like you can, like when you get the positive goes to the negative goes to the positive, it can blow the battery up and send shrapnel. In fact, the AAA guy said that it's so dangerous that they are usually advised, if that has happened, they are advised to not, I'm probably getting the guy in trouble, but you don't know which AAA, he's advised to not even work on the car. To advise it to be towed somewhere and they won't, because they can die working on the car. This is a serious thing.
And
this isn't like, I gotta get out of here before I kill someone. Yes.
I could have died.
Yeah.
I was the one who was re-jumping it right afterward.
And then once he did the thing and it started the sparks and stuff and the cable started melting, he just stood there with his headband and just
That
watched.
headband was on too
and then
tight.
Another guy came out and did a karate kick on the dude. Seriously, you know what? That's the guy that I'd like to meet, the karate man who came up and kicked the thing and saved my wife's life. Sir, wherever you're at, I'd like to pay you. Sir, with a headband, I'd like you to pay me. But you know what? I told my wife
How much was the radio?
The radio is going to be $550. They also had to replace a motor in the window, which I don't know what the price for that was. And that's the problems that we've discovered. There's
The motor is typically under the hood.
The motor in the window. But there's all kinds of issues probably with the car that we haven't yet discovered. But I told my wife because she probably could see this guy again because they go to the same gym apparently at the same time, right? Yeah. So she's not going to go talk to him. But if I were to talk to him, I wouldn't say, "Hey, man," I wouldn't. I would never. You
ruined my wife's Valentine gift.
I would never ask for money from the guy. I'm like, I'm not. You know, you don't have to pay for it. But
I don't want your money. I want your apology.
no, I want you to change your behavior moving forward because the next
I just want
time
you to know what you did.
Yeah, you need to know what you did because one is black and one is red for a reason. So you put the black on the black and the red on the red for a reason, because if you don't do that, you could literally kill someone and ruin somebody's Valentine's Day. As you do.
You should get a Bluetooth enabled. I mean, $550. Super sure you can get a Bluetooth enabled device for that.
Well, what I'm going to do is, things are typically cheaper at like a proprietary shop than it is at the dealer, right? So I'm going to go to the guy who did the auxiliary input. I'm going to be like, hey man, this guy screwed things up. Let's just get the stereo that's got the auxiliary input. Hey, it may end up being more expensive, but it may be a better solution for my wife in the long run. Who knows?
Or Bluetooth.
Maybe I should
Go
be
all the way.
thanking the guy with the headband.
All the way to Bluetooth. And
if I can make it sound good, I will. But he originally did a Bluetooth input.
Oh.
That was just the Honda add-on that you can buy,
Yeah.
and it sounded horrible. It sounded like it was coming out of like a jar or something. It was just a compromised sound. It wasn't as good as just a straight auxiliary.
that might encourage her to actually talk on the phone. Or
Yeah,
you may
which
not
is
want
good.
that.
No, to have the speaker,
Or unless you
because she
don't-
won't answer the phone in the car.
Right. Maybe that's a good thing.
Okay.
Let us know what you think. What would you do? What would you say?
This has all been an episode of What Would You Do? Now John Kionis is going to come out and say thanks for watching.